Ahoy and welcome. Hopefully you are doing well. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. For the few of you who are already here before the show began, which is, that's a level of commitment I don't think I expect from anybody. So bravo to you. Here's to you, coffee. This isn't the first sip of coffee this morning, but this one's to you. This one's for you. What's the phrase? Anyway, whatever. Okay, I can see myself on my monitor, so I'm going to check my audio. Hey, that sounds pretty good. Awesome. All right, let's jump into what we got going on, because my goodness, when NAB rolls around, it is exciting. Let me try and move that out of the frame so that it's not in the way. Hey, what's going on, NetHab? Hey, no one here but us 2110 chickens. We're going to start right off, are we? So many of you may have seen that Blackmagic went hard in the paint, in the 2110 paint this year. And they are invested. That has been their IP standard that they're going with for a couple of years now. You know, it was kind of between that and NDI, and they decided to go 2110. I guess it was more than a couple of years, because I was at Bird Dog when they announced it. Now, the the complaint I had back then was, why on earth would you do 2110 when NDI is so much easier to adapt in a network system? And, you know, as I've been removed from the NDI world, and now I am doing other forms of network stuff in the AV world, I've had a little bit of exposure to 2110, not actually running productions and that sort of thing, but yeah, pretty excited to try out some of these other protocols. Now, the problem that 2110 has is that it's extremely heavy when it comes to network requirements, and so you really do need well more than 100 gigabit backbones to handle that sort of thing. And with the coming on and invention of the QSFP 28 and the ability to have 100 gig backbones, multiples, sending 2110 video via multicast is an option. And you can do this inside of a Netgear Engage environment, or you can do this in the proprietary Blackmagic environment. You can basically buy switches that you can buy a Blackmagic switch now that is a QSFP 28 switch and will do all the switching for you. It's basically pre-configured to operate with all of their own network protocols and network expectations, and it's makes 2110 very plug and play. Now, I went into Engage to kind of look around as to what profiles do we have inside of Engage that would accommodate 2110. And quite frankly, I couldn't really find something that's obvious. However, the literature out there does say that Engage does handle 2110, which means that you could buy the Blackmagic switches, but the Netgear ones are also heavily capable of a lot of other protocols. And so if Blackmagic has the 2110 thing sorted out, then the good news is that perhaps you want to do Dante on one VLAN, you want to do 2110 on another, that would all work really well. And so that's one of my questions for Netgear is, hey, I'm sure you've heard that 2110 is getting a hard push this year from Blackmagic as an IP video standard. And as a reminder, there is 2110 and NDI. Those are kind of the two big ones. But then there's also Dante video, which is a little more obscure because you need there's no software stuff for the Dante stuff. Everything, you need a specific encoder, a specific decoder. So you would have to really invest in the Dante side of video in order to really do AV, both audio and video over IP. Not to say that it can't be done. So I'm going to move my light here. Not to say that it can't be done, but the ecosystem isn't there yet. And if I don't know what Dante is going to announce at NAB or if they're going to do anything with that, but if they're serious about video being a protocol for Dante codecs, I guess, then they're going to have to start coming out with some stuff soon, because major guys, and we can talk about this briefly before we really get into the meat of the show here, but major broadcasters are still holding tight to their SDI. They do not want to mess up a good thing, and honestly, with good reason, because SDI is basically zero latency. Who was it the other day that just said, I love SDI because it's basically, it was on, I was watching, a live stream, a recap video from Socially You. So these guys, sociallyu.com, these guys have a lot of like green screen stuff, and they do really high quality interviews and video and a bunch of stuff. Really recommend checking them out. If you're going to be at NAB, they'll be at the ProPsych booth. And ProPsych does like infinity walls, green screens, like pro stuff. Expensive, but pro. And then Socially You will be there doing their green screen stuff over Resolume. So check that. Resolume? Ultimat. Over Ultimat, not Resolume. So check them out. They're going to be in the North Hall, and that will be definitely worth your time. I was very impressed with them last year. I look forward to seeing them again this year. They've given us some ideas about green screens that we might try and do one of these days soon. So these three flavors I see in the IP world. 2110 has been there for a while, but has not really been seriously taken up until now. The problem with Blackmagic going all in on it is broadcasters go to Sony, Canon, Panasonic, a handful of companies. Those companies are not really doing 2110. They're not even really doing NDI. That's a feature, but it's not a focus. And so they're not really doing AV over IP. Blackmagic, I know broadcasters, several installers who, if you tell them you're using Blackmagic, they kind of look at you like you're playing with Tonka trucks. But Blackmagic is making I don't know if you noticed this, but Blackmagic in the past 2 years has been making large strides into being a legitimate hardware company in the broadcast space. And they're creating entire ecosystems and workflows around their product line, which other product lines, Sony, Canon, Panasonic, onward, they don't do. So if you were to want to create a production studio from start to finish right now, Blackmagic would be an option, because they have cameras, they've got audio options, they've got a video over IP solution, they've got a variety of things that would basically answer the production suite question that everybody had. Like, how do I do this? How do I get it from start to finish? How do I edit? How do I get this across to my editing suites in the other state or in the other country? How do I do all that? Well, they have solutions for all of it now. And it's been very interesting to watch them kind of come up to that standard. And Blackmagic's really trying. They are one of the companies right now that are innovating. They aren't copying features. They're actually innovating. And as far as I'm concerned, gave video over IP, 2110 in this instance, gave video over IP a huge push. And we will see. We'll see if the market in the next 2 or 3 years responds with it. Now, 2110 really has the main problem is the expensive ecosystem that goes with it. And one of the questions I have for Netgear is, when are you going to come out with a 8-port or 16-port QSFP switch? Because now that Blackmagic, they have their own, I forget how many ports are on theirs, but it's like $3,000. And that is not that expensive in the network switching world for a switch that has, I forget what it is, 8 or 16. I guess I have to look it up. 8 or 16 QSFP ports. Let's just go to, I guess it would be under routing and distributing. Yeah. So the Blackmagic 820 is their new switch. And, we can just do this. So their 820 is their new switch. And this guy has two 10G Ethernet ports, a couple of PTP clocks, which are important in an internal PTP system. So you can link these all together and, basically create a master clock. But then we've got 8 QSFP ports on the back here. And this thing is going to retail for under $3,000. So Doug Johnson did a wrap-up show, Doug Johnson Productions, who will be at the show, by the way. So if you're going to be there, track him down and shake his hand. I commented on this and just said, I'm very interested in the hard push into 2110 IP. The Blackmagic Ethernet switch, which is $2,600 plus tax, is one of the cheaper QSFP switches on the market. And I wish that they would make it even more accessible. What I was hoping for would be that Blackmagic would build an Ethernet switch like this. That's like $1,000, like $999. I mean, that would be worth abandoning a Netgear AV over IP system for an 8-port QSFP switch that's $1,000, or I don't know how you do it, or do 4 and 4 or something like that. Because what's going to happen here is people are going to start buying products one at a time. People don't buy, unless you're a major corporation, they don't buy like $100,000 worth of hardware. They usually save up their dollars. They say, okay, this year we're going to make the transition to 2110, and or the next 2 years or the next 3 years, we're going to make the transition to 2110. Let's buy a switch and let's buy a studio converter, the new studio converter, which is really cool, by the way. Where is it here? Standard conversion, broadcast converters. Here we go. So that new studio converter has the new front on it. This guy. So this is $3,000, Studio Bridge. And this turns all of your cameras into, where's the back of it here? I want to see the actual product. It's the whole page is converters. Constellation. There's a new Constellation. I don't want to jump ahead here. So, this is everything. Okay, so Studio Bridge. So this, you bring your camera into this switch right here. Here it is. You bring your camera, boom, into here. It supplies power, video, comms, everything that the studio converters used to. Now you can plug up to 8 cameras into this. This is an amazing upgrade. And then you plug in your QSFP to your redundant QSFP into these 2 ports, and you patch those into your system. So we're going to buy a Blackmagic switch, and we're going to buy a studio converter. This thing, what did they say it ran? This thing runs $3,000. Okay, so we're going to drop $6,000 in the next 6 months, and we're going to convert our cameras over to 2110 standard. That's how that works. And then when we want to bring on something else, why is the power version and the standard version the same? What's on the back of this guy? Sorry, my brain. I should do this research before I start talking. So here's the converter, and then here's the standard Blackmagic Studio Bridge 100G. Like, this is just the power version. I would want the power version. Oh, you know what this is for? This is for the Ursa 12. So there it is, Cine 12. So you could plug in the camera via QSFP. We can talk about that. That's not a great idea yet. But, the demand has to be there in order for products to be created. So bear with us here. But there are no armored QSFP cables yet. So running a fiber optic cable, blue cable to it, that wouldn't be a great idea unless you're creating some sort of QSFP like Keystone Jack or receptacle, but those don't exist either. So anyway, but this power version, this would run my 6K studio cameras and provide expansion. We have 2 right now, provide expansion for up to 8. So that would be pretty cool. And then you can convert everything over to QSFP. So this guy is for the Ursa, the skinny guy, and you can run 2 of those off of that. And then this guy is for those studio cameras that I have, providing power and converting everything over to 2110. So pretty cool stuff. All right. So to kind of wrap up the 2110 conversation, I'll jump back to the chat, is the infrastructure is expensive. And the way that I see and hear people moving to 2110 or moving to NDI is they do it incrementally. And so is this a problem for NDI? Yeah, it is. I'll be curious to find out what the NDI manufacturers, Bird Dog, have to say about this, because all of a sudden 2110 is becoming inexpensive. And if Netgear responds with an inexpensive QSFP 28 switch, then we got a problem. Then NDI has a problem, because NDI now, even HX, has latency over 2110. 2110, the latency is not in the IP realm. The latency is, with a caveat there, but the latency is not in the IP realm. The latency is on the encoders and the decoders, which it normally is anyways, but NDI is going to be slower. And so using NDI with an H.265 or H.264 compression is not as good as the 2110. And if this is now becoming obtainable, meaning that if the 2110 protocol is no longer out of the realm of like medium-sized churches getting on board, that's going to be a problem, because that's the meat of small production, medium-sized production. That's the meat of the market for NDI, I think. I don't see large-scale, big-budget. So I was watching the live. This is in regards to this. I was watching the Socially You live stream. I wasn't live, but I was watching it. And one of the guys said, "So what's the major differences between 2110 and NDI that you guys see now that 2110 is becoming obtainable for much of the market?" And the guy said, "Well, first of all, 2110 works." I audibly was like, "Ouch!" That was brutal. But that is the market speaking to its experience in the past. And the thing I'm going to be going to the NDI world now is somebody needs to be telling the NDI story and why NDI is the answer for over 2110. And the story has to be not only convincing, but it has to be true. And so that's going to be really hard. That's going to be a very difficult problem to fix, because 2110 is doing what technology does. It starts becoming less and less expensive for the mass market. Just like when TVs, flat screens came out, nobody could afford them but the super rich. That's what 2110 was. And now Blackmagic has said, all right, we're going all in. Here's a $3,000 QSFP switch, and now everything we have has a 2110 version to it. Oh, man, it's hard for me to recommend. Like, if you have the budget, it would be hard for me to say, don't spend it on 2110, because the protocol is really good. And, yeah, it's really good. Okay, let me jump to the chat real quick and catch up with you guys. Hey, Sean, what's going on? Great to see you here. Thank you for stopping on by. Always fun to have you in the chat. I already went hard into Fairlight Live and recreated one of my band's mixes into a multi-track recording. Okay, I got questions about Fairlight Live, but I haven't done a lot with the testing on it yet. I downloaded it the other day, but I got questions. The clock and multicast function of 2110 are identical as AES67, especially as AES67 is the audio portion of 2110. Yeah, so if you're using the NDI video protocol with AES67, that should be the profile that you use for 2110, enabled with multicast. Blackmagic Design just needs to work on the quality of their gear. I have had a reliability issue with gear lasting. It seems that it can't be left on like other broadcast gear. I agree with that. I think that that's how they keep their prices low, like lowish. So that might be the trade. And that's why I think video broadcast people kind of scoff at, you know, Blackmagic cameras, those aren't real. Tell me when you buy a Canon, anyway. I feel like we've purchased our Studio 6K cameras and we've gotten the value out of them so far. Like, they've been with us for almost 2 years. They cost $3,000. Yeah, that's like I feel like I'm on borrowed time now. I feel like I'm getting value out of them. I expect them to last a couple years. There's not much else I would upgrade to unless I was go with the Ursa Cine 12, but I don't foresee that happening in the next year or two. So I want to, but I don't think it will. Blackmagic saw that no one else made a good 100 gig network switch and decided to make their own rather than partner with someone else. That's a very Blackmagic thing to do. Yes, I agree with that. The original Blackmagic 360 switch had no PoE. Oh, fascinating. I didn't know that. I would prefer Ethercon jacks on the cameras. Broken tabs on RJ45 cables are a pain. That is the truth. There are durability and reliability questions when it comes to plugging in Ethernet cables. However, I have found that we use these really sophisticated devices called Velcro straps, and I just bought a whole bunch of these, so I got them sitting here on my desk. And what I do with that is I take the Ethernet cable that I have custom built, plug it into the camera, and then I take 2 or 3 of these and I wrap it to the legs of the tripod, the rig that this thing stands on. I wrap that cable and I put a service loop in, and so even if that cable gets tugged on, that little loop gets tightened first before it gets yanked on. So there are ways to kind of mitigate without the need for Ethercon jacks, but you are correct. It would have been better for them to use like an armored cable and an Ethercon jack, which locks in and can't be tugged out or broken, or that would have been a better call. I agree, but there are ways around it, and for the price point, man, it's hard for me to complain too much, just because it's good. It's a good product. All right. One of the things, I'm taking a little side trips here, but one of the things that I'm very interested in is that quick jump that we had away from SFP. I actually thought that we were going to dwell on SFP, 10 gig, single motor multi, but 10 gig SFP a little longer than we did in the networking world. And this is still a very relevant piece of hardware that you can use. This is a single mode, 10 gig base, LC connector. I should probably get it like an up-close camera so that I can like show these products that are super tiny. But SFP Plus has been around for quite a long time, and we use them to connect data networks and backbones and create trunks and all sorts of things, right? Trunks and legs. This, I'm surprised how quickly we leapfrogged over SFP Plus and went straight to QSFP. Now, 2110 requires like 50 gigs. It's per camera. It's a ridiculous amount of data. Or maybe it's like 25 gigs or something like that, but it's huge. So 2110 would exceed the capacity of this. This is 10 gigs. So I would have to do multiple connections and like bring over a whole fiber trunk, fiber lag just to do this. But, we jumped over it pretty quickly. QSFP, though, is not particularly that much more expensive that I can find. If we just go to like Monoprice or Amazon or something like that, SFP, if we just do QSFP cables, and we were just going to, that's cool. A couple of things with QSFP. First of all, you can get how long is this guy? All right, you can get a 1.5-foot patch cable of QSFP for like $25. Okay, now you can get 10 of these for like $100. This is SFP Plus, and this is single mode patch cables. These are about 0.5 meter each, but you can get a 10-pack of them for I don't know. I forget what I did here. Maybe it was like $50 or something like that. But like I got a whole bunch of them. But it's single mode fiber and run over plastic essentially. Lightning fast, works really well. I have several things in my office that are connected via fiber, including multiple switches that are talking together. And the way you think about fiber is, I'll put this up here so you guys can see. The way you think about fiber is it logically connects things as if they're right next to each other, so that there's really no distance, because it mitigates the distance between switches with light. So it travels at the speed of light, okay? that essentially makes switches kind of, as long as you're within the realm of what they can handle in terms of distance, as long as you're within the realm, it logically connects them together as if you are plugging them in inside the same rack. So when we're doing large installs into, churches or schools or anything like that, if you're connecting things in via fiber, especially single mode fiber, which can do like 20 kilometers or something like that on the cheap stuff, you're basically connecting them together as if they're all logically sitting right next to each other. There's distance is completely, mitigated. Now you need to have quality connectors, you need to have quality modules, you need to have high quality stuff, but generally, when you're connecting via fiber, it eliminates the distance between the products, which is really cool because you can do a lot with switch. Like my rack, for example, I can plug everything I need into it and connect it all together, and it's all just right here together. Again, when we're solving for distance, we use fiber, and that fixes things. Well, QSFP is basically 4 strands of fiber put together into one, and you can even go one step further and break out a QSFP into 4 fibers. So if you didn't have, for example, a QSFP, you had one QSFP port, but then you had 4 SFP ports, you could buy a breakout cable that went into those 4 SFP pluses, and then into a QSFP, and probably get logically 40 gigs out of that one port. So you can buy breakout cables. They're available for that. QSFP is kind of that next piece. However, I've noticed that QSFP in the grand scheme of hardware is not that much more expensive than buying other connecting types of things. So things are really kind of getting, less expensive in the hardware realm, which is what technology does. Everybody starts using it, and so demand goes up, but so does the manufacturing, and brings down the prices. So it's cool that that's kind of what's happening in the realm of data. And we went from 1 gig fiber, getting a whole gig over fiber, to doing 10 gigs, and it's like, dang, that's a lot of information. Oh, and now we can lag them together. Now we can get 50 gigs, or oh man, now we have one port that does 100, and we can lag those together. And my goodness, like the backbone in this place is 500 gigs. It's like, yeah, but the data requirements for all that stuff are also going up. And so everything kind of ticks forward, but we don't look at it in the realm of the danger is, I remember back in my day, I only needed 1 Ethernet cable. Don't think of technology that way, okay? You need 1 cable. That's the way you think about it. I need 1 cable to do what it is that we want to do, but the quality is so much better. All right, so we upgrade our cables to 100 gigs, and then we can do things like 2110, which requires 25 megs or something like that, just to do 1 camera. It's the daily setup and teardown of corporate shows that cause wear and tear on cables. Oh, I could not agree with you more. Yes, the constant going in and out of hotel lecture or hotel conference rooms and all that stuff that really creates the problem. And if you're in that business, strongly recommend you have a spool, 1 backup of at least everything, including switches, because those get broken too. But if you're trying to stay competitive, you may not have those sorts of margins. I don't know. 3G SDI requires 3 gigabit bandwidth. 12 requires 12. It's in the name. Yes, is that though if you're doing like 8K and 12K and all of that? Like I suspect that gets a little bit, I don't know, but I forget. Maybe it was when they were talking about doing the immersive video, right? Because that camera still isn't cheap. I would love to get the immersive lens. That thing's so cool, but it's ridiculously expensive. Actually, DAC cables are still copper. It's the AOC cables that are pre-terminated SFP with fiber in it. You can also get CWD and bidirectional QSFPs that use a single strand of fiber with multiple colors of lasers over it. Ooh, that's cool. That's something that I had not discovered yet. It's kind of a neat idea. I like it. That's smart because then you could send multiple colors. Somebody's using their noodle over there in the invention world. Today's two non-sponsored, by the way, Ember Mugs. Keep your coffee hot and your creamer curdled. That one is done, and it was only half a cup. And my second non-sponsor of the day is Tim Hortons Maple K-Cups. Make coffee instantly the Tim Hortons way. I don't know what the slogan is, but hey, it's pretty good, and I put it in this mug because I don't want it to get cold halfway through the show. Now, I have an appointment that's coming up at noon today, which is an hour and a half away, that I need to be outside and downstairs for. So we will have to get on with getting on. But let's talk a little bit about gear for NAB. So NAB, we are headed to the show on Saturday afternoon, and we will be walking in on the floor at, I think, 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. I'll have to actually look, I guess, at the nabshow.com. So the show floor opens on the 19th, which is Sunday morning, and explore the show. I guess I need to show floor education sessions, plan your show sessions, I guess. So the 19th, is it 8 or 9? It looks like 8 because all the sessions start at 8 o'clock. So it looks like 8 o'clock. Anyway, I will find a schedule somewhere. It's probably, oh, you know what it is? It's probably on the app. I'll take a look. I downloaded the app last night and linked over the all of, you know, last week we talked about where we were going to go. So I logged into the app to see, like, all right, let's see a list of everybody in the North Hall. And man, it's hard to figure out like who's where. So I made a reminders list instead, and we'll try and check off as many of those people that we have put on the list of people that we want to see and go from there. And maybe after each day, I'll go through and uncheck the ones that we saw just so that I have a running list of who's left. Anyway, so NAB is coming up. We leave on Saturday. I'm really excited about it. After my meeting today, I'm going to actually pack my bags, because the purpose of this show is to get the technology together that we're going to use while I'm recording things on the floor. Now, last year was my first year recording things, my first show that I got to really like walk around. I'd been to 2 NABs prior to that with the Bird Dog crew, and sorry, I'm just listening to a engine outside. I'm wondering, oh, you know what it is? Probably FedEx. So we had the Bird Dog crew. I was there in 2019 and 2022 with them. And then after, yes, FedEx is here. After that, I went back last year, which would have been 2025. And it's hard to believe that I was gone that long from NAB, 22, and then my next year back was 25. But anyways, and we're going to this year. So I went with Safe Harbor, which is the nonprofit I work for. And then we had such a good show that we decided to do it again. So we are headed back. We fly out on Saturday afternoon, and we'll be back on Tuesday evening late. I know that the show goes until Wednesday or Thursday or something like that, but we see everything we want to see in about 2.5 days, and we don't need to burn extra time. So I'm pretty excited, but I'm going to need to take a rig. Last year I did some recording, and I was able to put those videos up on YouTube, kind of a day delay as I was walking around the show floor. I'm going to do that again and go and see what I can see, hopefully do some decent recording, but some things that I learned about last year recording on the floor, and then we're going to get into the actual gear I'm going to use. Some things I learned. First and foremost, shoot way more B-roll than you think you need. That is a general rule in making video, and I was definitely a culprit of not shooting enough B-roll. I ended up just going to the booth, doing my talking, and then recording something, and then realizing, I wish I could show this. Like I could talk about the switches. I wish I could show the switches more. I wish I could show each side. And those guys on the show floor are used to people recording, and people there are used to people recording. So I think I just need to get over my self-consciousness and do that. The other thing that I learned is the rig that I took last year was good, except it was a bit bulky in terms of like taking it out and setting it up and doing all that stuff. And so this year I want to do a lot better about being ready to record quickly. Let's go here. Sean's jumped in here. It looks like it's 10 a.m. on Sunday. Oh, really? That's late. And 9 a.m. on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, let's. I believe you. 10 a.m. seems late. Does it not? What time does the show floor at NAB 2026 open this year? Sunday. We'll ask the interwebs. Yes, you're right. 10 a.m. and closes at 6. Then opens at 9 a.m. and closes at 6 on Monday, Tuesday, and then 9 to 2 on Wednesday, which is why I don't normally do the Wednesday gig, just because it's only half a day. However, most people do leave on Monday and then Monday night or Tuesday. So it's busy at the airport. All right, so let's think. Okay, so last year, for me, there's two main things about recording on the convention floor, and you're all going to guess it right away. Video and audio. And although they complement each other, they're equally as important to the final product. First and foremost, if your video looks like crap, but it sounds amazing, no one's going to watch that. And if your video sounds like crap, but it looks amazing, no one's going to watch that. So both things have to be done pretty much perfectly the first time around. And the question is, how do you do it so that you can quickly hit record and quickly turn it off and get back to the show? I don't want to spend a bunch of time setting up and taking down. I want to quite literally just, okay, I want to record this, what we saw, hit record, 1 or 2 buttons, and then be done. I don't know if you noticed this, but Blackmagic yesterday came out with an update for their Blackmagic camera app. And so one of the questions I have is, do I use that over the Insta360 app, which talks and integrates with the Insta360 Flow Pro 2, which is the gimbal that I use while I'm at the show. Now, in my backpack will be a Ziploc bag with all of my tech gear that I need. But this will then get separated in the hotel, and I'll only take the things that I want on the show floor. And mostly just a battery and charging cables. I don't know if I'll keep it. I might keep it all in this little Ziploc just for ease of use. But the Flow Pro already has a bag that it comes in, so I don't really need to worry about too much. Once it's set up, though, like I'm halfway tempted to almost like put my phone in my bag and hold this in my hand. Last year, I put this in my bag and put my phone in my pocket, and then every time I wanted to do something, I was constantly yanking on my phone. So I'm halfway tempted just to walk around with this. Maybe I should get like a strap or something like that. That would, I could just, or maybe fashion some way to like clip it onto my belt, or maybe it fits in my pocket. I don't know. Probably not. It's a little big. I showed this last year. Actually, I bought this last year right in time for the show. But I just have a little carrying bag for it. Now, we'll get into that in just a second. My primary bag that I keep my gear in for the show, and you saw this last year on the videos, is this little side bag. It rolls up nice and easy, and I can keep all my gear, but I can just pop this in my backpack, and then I have a second bag while I'm there. And it's usually for my DSLR, that one. But in this instance, it comes with a little like insulated case that if you put your bag down on the ground, it doesn't get bashed up. But also, it holds a lot of stuff. Now, it's only over one shoulder, and so if you're wearing that all day, that can get kind of tiresome. But it works really well. It's made by Lowepro, and it's a good little bag. I think I bought it, 10 years ago at this point, maybe longer. But it has worked really well over the ages. So that's the side bag that I use. I just leave it usually open. If I'm going into a crowded area, I can just zip it shut, and then kind of keeps everything secure. Also on the interior, there's even a couple of little pockets that you can keep batteries and things in, and that is, I have backup batteries, AAAs, for the audio device. So that will be very convenient to have all of that stuff right there. It's also a convenient place, like if you don't want to have a whole bunch of stuff in your pockets, you can keep it in there, and it's right close to you. If you're going through crowded areas, you can just pull it, out in front so that nobody behind you is trying to reach in and take anything. So I've never really had an issue with that, but better safe than sorry. So the first question, let's go down this realm of video, because I think it's something that we can answer fairly quickly. Well, and we can discuss fairly quickly, but video. Do I use the Insta360 app, which talks natively with the Insta360 Flow Pro 2, which would be convenient to have, or do I learn the basic Insta360 Flow Pro 2 commands that are on at all times without the app, and do I use something like the Blackmagic app? And the beautiful thing about the update with the Blackmagic app is it now talks to your watch. So if you have this up on a gimbal that's way up here in the air, you can just hit record on your watch and it starts recording on the Blackmagic app. So there's a new Apple Watch app. It also shows you a preview on your watch. Now I suspect that, and it's actually quite quick. Now I suspect that that will drain your watch battery pretty fast, especially if you have an old watch like mine. So I don't know if I want to use that necessarily. However, I love all of the Blackmagic functions on this device. And it has peaking, it has audio, it has everything right there on the screen. Shows you how long you have to record, shows you how much memory you've used, shows you what format you're in, what your ISO is, what your white balance is, shows you shutter, everything. Gives you all of the data that's relevant to anybody doing any sort of self-videoing. The key, I tested this out this morning because I downloaded the app this morning. The key, I find, is making sure that you're looking at the camera lens and not at yourself. Because when your eyes wander, and you're going to notice that when I work on it, when your eyes wander, it tends to break the connection that you're trying to make with people while building a video. And so my trick is going to be, you have to look at the green dot or look at the camera area constantly and avoid, once you get everything set up and you see how you want it, then you use your peripheral to keep yourself framed correctly. Another nice thing about the Blackmagic app is it's very fast to change lenses, and so you can flip the lens over real quick and then shoot some B-roll and then flip it back to the front and hit record and do everything really quickly right inside the app. So I'm kind of tempted to learn how to use the Flow Pro 2 on its own without the app and to get really decent shots. And I might spend some time this afternoon working on that, figuring out what that'll looks like so that I can use the Blackmagic app as my primary recording device. If I was not going to use Blackmagic, I would use the Insta360, and if I can't get it down quickly, like the controls and the functions, okay, I want to change it to this mode or that mode or do whatever. If I can't figure that out fast, then I will use the Insta360. I won't use the camera app that is built into the iPhone, because although there are native functions on the iPhone for Insta360, they've kind of like crossed the communication there. Because there are those integrations, it's not worth it to not have the Blackmagic functions of the camera app for the Blackmagic. So it makes more sense for me to use that than vice versa. So there's that. I'm planning on giving that a go, trying that out. But I will be using then, you leave the little Insta360 brace on the back here, and I have to keep mine a little bit lower so it doesn't touch the volume buttons, which is annoying. But you usually try and line it up with the back. You have a charging port on the back. This case has one. So you try and line it up as best you can. And then when you go to snap this thing on, you just line up the red dot with the camera itself. And then when you flip it open, it should kind of self-align itself. So that's kind of a cool, it's kind of neat. You can change the modes. This is, let me see what my eyes are to, PF, something focus. This one is FPV, so that's probably, I don't know. I'll have to look up these acronyms. Auto, which I think is something that I might end up using, or maybe not. It does not seem to be following me very effectively, and I wonder if I open the Blackmagic app, if, where are we here? Blackmagic camera. So if we open that and then I change it, does it use the camera? It does. Oh, that's cool. So since the camera is on, it seems like the gimbal is able to figure out, oh, that's, okay, so that's just left and right. So auto, wish it would be a little faster than that, you know? Follow me a little quicker. But anyways, so that would be good. I believe that this is the auto tracking function, if I'm not mistaken. Which is it here? Nope. Okay, so you can manually change it. If you want to turn the, you want to turn it sideways like that. Okay, so I can do that in manual mode. I can basically set it to landscape, which is how I will shoot most of the time. And the other question is that I have is, do you want it to be far away? I wonder if I can change the, do you want it to be far away from you so that you see more of the shop floor? I think you do. And then that gives actually more of a look like what we're seeing here. So, you know, if I'm moving around the show floor and I want to show things, it keeps me kind of in that quadrant that I want to be in. Or I guess it's not a quadrant, it's a third. But that works pretty well. Plus it then gives me all these options. If I hit record, it actually triggers the record button inside the Blackmagic. So that's cool. Okay, so we are hands-free. I don't even need the watch app. But we're basically hands-free. What else do I got here? What's that button? C? C is just... Oh, that's like... What does that do? It kind of like drifts off. Oh, is it doing a pan? Oh, it is. That's cool. Okay. So this might be a fun way to capture some footage. That would be easy, right? Because we're just going around. All right, so, and then if I stop it, it goes back to me. So if I click the trigger button, what does it do? Nothing. All right, well, I don't hate this, and honestly, what I really like about the Blackmagic app is that it provides peaking, so you can see the red of the focus. Now, I wish that there was a way that I could do kind of a... I know if I could click on my face, it will keep my face in focus. But I wish that there was a better way to make this a little bit more cinematic so that, and I keep going out of focus on the camera. A little more cinematic so that I can have like a blurrier background, but I don't think that's possible with the with this lens. One of the things that, you know, I think what the trigger's supposed to do is change the camera in the Insta360. So if I were to do this and change it to the front cameras, and then I were to spin this around, so now I can see myself in the little mirror, you know, and it's using that. If I click the trigger, does it follow me? Looks like it is keeping me like fairly in focus. Whoa. Oh, it just it brought it home. All right, what if I use the 26mm lens? Okay, there it goes. So now if I do this, okay, now you can see my face. Hey, everybody. And I can see myself there too. If I line myself up perfectly, then it's like I'm dead in the center. So I need to learn, if I'm going to do this, I want it to be like that. So I can like see myself in the mirror. There's like a little mirror on the back of this thing. And then that would be pretty good. Maybe this needs to be a little slower. Something like that maybe. And then does it follow me? If I go down, if I come back up, does it continue to follow? It does. Okay. So this lens is a lot better. If I hit record and I start recording, yada, 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 I just want to see what the background looks like. If I bring myself over here, and I'm talking about what's happening on the show floor behind me. Okay, I want to see what the back of my room looks like, and here it's kind of coming back to the center. Okay, then I'm going to hit stop. All right, now let's bring that around and have a look at that footage real quick, just because I want to see how that translates. So this is 22 seconds. Whoa, it's very bright. All right, we're going to hear. Oh, no, my volume's down. All right, that picture, though, looks really good. It's a little overblown, to be honest with you. I think I would have to use auto white balance and stuff to handle that. Let's go back on this guy. Yeah, it's blurry. It's got a nice effect to it, but it's not amazing. Let's do this one more time. We're going to go to camera, and I'm going to set all of the white balance stuff to auto, just because I'm not going to have the ability to do all of that. Can I do auto here? It's like all presets, but there's no. Oh yeah, here, auto function. Okay, so now we're going to spin this guy around. Okay, there I am, and I thought that this thing, maybe not. Yoink. All right. So let's give this a try. Like now, I've got these really bright blue lights, and things are not like ideal for recording on an iPhone. But if we just hit the record button and we start moving, I want to move a little quicker because I want to show the show floor. I want to stay in the frame. So we're going to keep talking, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. And here we are back at home. All right, so now we're going to have a look at this guy and see. I do like that, like double click, get back to the camera real quick. Number 3, this is 16 seconds. All right, that looks better. All right, here is, ew, I'm like all tanned out. That looks terrible. All right, so it doesn't know what to do about the RGB lights. Maybe the test that I'll do, obviously outside, but the functions are good, and I think that that's worth using. And it uncomplicates the Insta360, all of the like secondary functions. Press this twice, do this 3 times, tap your head, and give this gesture and all that. Like there's so much to learn that I think actually it makes it quite overwhelming. So you can power it down like that, boom, fold it up, and disconnect the phone, and we're done. So that I'm going to have to turn the notifications off for Insta360 because it's going to be pretty upset that I'm not using it. Okay, so then that can go back in the bag like so, and then get tossed into my satchel, wherever it went. Now, I actually wear this backwards, usually on the show floor. I wear it like this because I like to be able to. Oh, and I need to get this installed. So this is just a little compartment that I keep my. Usually just keep the camera in, and then it sits back here so that it's easy to find in this mess, because you start getting swag and stuff like that on the show floor, things can get lost in your bag. So boom, keep it like that, and then if I need to zip it up, there's a zipper right here, and if I need to walk through a crowd, I can pull it in front of me, and the whole bag is right in front. So perfect. I like the video idea. I think that's going to work out really well for video. So I've got the clip. We're going to put the clip not on my phone, because if you don't have the clip, everything's useless. So we're going to put the clip inside the little felt bag with the Insta360. On Saturday night, when I get to the hotel, I will plug all of this stuff in and have it charged up. But also, there will be a battery bank in here. I'm trying to figure out how this goes in here. There will be a battery bank that will also be for charging devices. And so that will be good to have. The other bag that I'm going to have is this Patagonia bag, which I got for a birthday. A whole bunch of people went in on it because it's not cheap. And the bag itself. And that will have some helpful items that I will need, including there will be a battery in here. I believe it's, here they are. 2 batteries, but one in this bag and one in this bag. One is a backup and one in the primary. This is a really good battery. But this battery will also serve a secondary function. Now we're adding weight. Every time we add something, we're adding weight. This will have a secondary function, and this is my field recorder. Now I have talked a lot about how to record audio in the field, how to get high quality stuff. If you're just in the market, you're just getting started, you're doing run and gun stuff, you're doing things that can run off of batteries, the Zoom F1 field recorder is still a great investment. It is not 32-bit. I think it's like 16, or I forget what it is actually. It might be 32. But it's not 32-bit like all the fancy new ones. Zoom F1 field recorder. And it's very basic. You have the option to buy attachments, microphones, shotguns, whatever, XLR connections even. But natively, it has 2 screw-on 3.5 millimeter ports. One for headphones and one for your line-in or your microphone. So regardless of what mic you have, that says lavalier. That's not what I wanted. F1 field recorder. There it is. So it's a great little device for adding to a camera. You can get a little hot shoe mount or cold shoe mount or something like that. But you can use it very quickly and easily, and it gives you on-screen feedback as to how it's operating when you record. It has a little red light on it, tell you that you're recording. So it's visually easy to see and understand while you're in the field, and that is really important. That not only your device be able to tell you how it's performing, but also that you can quickly receive the information that you want, and that it doesn't take a whole lot of figuring out to get it to work. So like I said, there's a bunch of attachments that you can buy for it. It's still a great little product. It's been out for a very long time. I take this into Northern Ontario with just straight up batteries and do some here are all the capsules. Do some just recording of guys that teach class, or if we have a survival lesson or something like that, I can record all that stuff. It can attach to the Rode microphone system that I have, the Rode Go microphone system, by just a simple aux cable. And that works really well. And so then you have a wireless microphone system that can be clipped on. So a couple of options then as to how is it that we want to utilize this recorder. First is I want to attach it to power, to that power supply. And so it is old school. It is a micro USB. It's not USB-C. The new ones might be USB-C, but this one is not. And so we're going to get a cable, and we're going to use this cable, USB, regular USB to micro. And this is one of those dangerous, this thing could break and then it would make the product or the cable useless. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful when using it. But then we can take our battery, which is in our bag, and we can plug this thing into one of the USB ports that is in the bag. This thing's fully charged. So now if I turn this thing on, boom, device comes on, screen comes on, everything's ready to go. And so my recorder has power. Now, as a backup option in case this bank goes dead, I have another battery bank in my backpack, but then there are also a set of batteries inside. The batteries do not get used if you supply it DC power. So you can have batteries in it, and then if this thing dies halfway through a recording, it'll switch automatically to batteries, and you can keep going. So no need to worry about things dropping unexpectedly. You'll probably notice that you're having battery issues, before it affects your recordings at all. All right, so this thing is currently recording in MP3, but we could record in 16-bit, and we could record, in 44.1K 16-bit, 48K 16-bit, 48K 24-bit, which is probably what I should do. 96K in 24-bit. Then you can record MP3 48 kilobit, and then you can record in, whoops, I jumped one. Whoa, there's so many options. MP3 48, 128, 192, 256, and 320. So there's a lot of options. I'm going to go with 48 at 24-bit, and I believe that's a WAV file that it records to, and that will be great for what I want to do. So we're going to put our battery bank here inside. Now I need to basically create a way where the battery isn't going to slide around, but also I want to connect this recording device somewhere easily visible, but not easily visible for me, but not easily visible for like everyone else. And what I typically do is I attach it to a corner of a pocket that's inside my rig. So on the outside like that, so that my wires and everything can plug in, and then I can easily get to the record button, which is just on the inside. Okay. All right. There's also a roll-off, a high-pass filter on this thing that you can activate if needed. And I tend to use it when I'm on the show floor because there's no need in having anything less than 80 hertz, kilohertz, or less. All right, so the next thing we need to talk about is microphones. Now, I got a couple of options. And let me just, sorry, I'll pull the chat up here so I'm monitoring things. Okay, a couple of options. Like I said, I do have the Rode Wireless Go. It's the first iteration of that microphone, and they work really well. However, they require batteries, and they require you to power them on and power them off. So, do I use them? Maybe. Maybe if it's warranted, yeah, maybe I would use that. But could it be easier? Yeah, it probably could. And the way that would be easier is just with a hardline microphone, which we have. We have a wireless mic. Oh, here's the other one. So here's the Rode Wireless Go system. Super tiny. If I really wanted to make it simple, I could snap this on my hat like a gym rat. You know, they always put them on their hat like this. They look absolutely ridiculous. Some dudes that do this, and they're like, no, I'm not doing that. So we're not gonna have that clipped onto my hat. I think we talked about that last year. I just think I will use it as a backup system for this wired system that I've got. So the question becomes, this is an X-Vive lav mic. Works pretty well. What I really like about this guy is that it has a locking mechanism on the actual plug. So it's not the highest quality lav mic, but it is easily hideable, and you can feed it through your clothes and everything like that. So what do? Well, I wire this into a hat, and many of you know that my trademark hat are these cheap flex fit black hats. I've worn them for ages. And last year, you can even, I think this is the hat I wore it on, you can even see a bit of the tape residue from last year. I had it wired into the hat, just into the side. Is that the best placement for it? Probably not. Probably having it wired in the middle of my hat, so no matter where I looked, like if I'm ever interviewing somebody, which I didn't do anything like that last year, but if I'm interviewing somebody, it might be better for me to have it in the tip of my hat so that as they're talking, I just have to look at them, and then it would pick up their voice. So let's go ahead and start wiring that up, because that is what I'm going to do. And I also run then the wire into my hat under the flap, and I tape it down, and I have it come out the back. Now, if I was really smart, I would probably poke a hole in this, although I don't think I have a sharp knife or anything here at my disposal. If I was really smart, I would feed it through the hat like that, so that it just came out the back and didn't have to come around the rim. It's actually not a bad idea. So let's see if I've got a wire here. Maybe I can make an adjustment on my hat and poke through the mesh. the key is really like feeding it through the hat, right? So this wire is not strong enough for this. Let's try this guy. That's a good, it's a well-made hat. There we go. Got it. Okay, so through the hat, the back of the fabric. So we're going to take our little microphone and we're just going to feed it through the back through a undisclosed hole in the back of my hat. There we go. So now we're going to feed that wire through. Okay, it goes into my hat. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much damage. Damage. All right, and then name that reference. And then I'm thinking I'm going to put it in the middle, which is, I know this is really hard to see here, but I'm going to put that microphone right in the middle of the hat so that I'm going to run it around the side of the rim. And then we'll get a couple of these pieces of tape to tape it down. Now, what do I use to do this? Well, I want it to be as nonchalant as possible, and so I use Ursa strips. If you're doing any sort of mic placement on talent, these are worth the money that they are to buy them, because not only are they super strong, I had backup Ursa strips last year. I didn't use any. I didn't have to replace the tape. I didn't have to do anything like that. It was just, it worked the whole time. And they're felt on one side. So if you are wearing this on a rig and you're taping it to somebody or something, they're not going to have any sort of like skin irritation or anything like that. This tape is also, the glue on here is also designed to go on human skin. So if you need to tape it to somebody, that is also a high possibility that you could do that. And it should not, unless they're hypersensitive to like glue and things like that, shouldn't be much of an issue. All right, so I'm going to put this microphone. I know I really should have like an overhead camera for this. I'll put this microphone here on my hat. Well, this is tricky with only one of me doing this. And I want it to go away at like a 45-degree angle towards the edge of my cap. So we're going to go like this and then 45 degrees away. I'll show you all of this in just a second. And then to the rim. Okay, so now the microphone is taped into the bill of the hat, and that's the primary, let's see if I can get an angle on that. That is the primary piece that holds that microphone in that precise location. I want to try to avoid taping, like putting the tape next to my head, but I will tape the underside of the Flex Fit rim so that, oh, there's already tape in here. That's last year's tape. So I will tape it to the inside of the Flex Fit rim so that when I flip it over, it's basically hidden, completely hidden, okay? Got to give a little bit of a service loop where it comes around the rim because you don't want that to pull at all. Now this Ursa tape is like crazy sticky and holds onto fabric really well. I, again, strongly recommend this if you're doing any of this sort of wardrobe wiring, dressing talents, anything like that. You can use gaffer's tape, you can use various things, but there is nothing quite like having the real thing, and this is the brand that lots of audio engineers trust. Now this one's going to be tricky because it's on an elastic. So audio engineers trust Ursa tape. There we go. That's pretty good. Good for a first try. Okay, cool. All right, so that should hold now pretty simply. Let's go ahead and do a dry fit. Try my, oh, it feels really good. And that wire then comes out the back of my hat and is not super noticeable. All right, so I'm going to take my pack off for a second. Whoa, that's a problem. So let's make sure you get dressed in order. All right, so the pack's coming off for just a second. Hat goes on first. Okay. Wire will go down my shirt. Now, all is well with the recording side of things, but the problem becomes then how do you make sure that you can hear everything, right? So before I put my pack back on, we're going to use headphones. And this year, I'm using a new pair of these are not Me Audio, but these are my in-ears for my guitar rig. So I have wrapped them up here. And typically what I do is I use one ear and I don't put them both in, although the monitoring function of this recording device does do pass-through. So you should, if the unit is on, you should actually be able to hear what the microphone is hearing at all times, as far as I recall. We're going to find out in just a second. All right, so let's feed this down my shirt. There we go. Yoink. Okay. Now my headphones are where I need them to be. And I've got both of my cables here at my hip. I'll probably have a dress shirt or a polo or something like that on, so they'll come out at my waistband and then into my recording device. Now, that will vary, I guess. I might have to wear it on my belt because the wires may not reach the whole way. But I can just wear one of these. I don't have to wear both of them, because wearing headphones while interviewing somebody is always a little bit strange, I think, for the other person. Maybe that's just my perception of the situation. But I always think if you're wearing an earpiece, then people think you're not actually paying attention. And that might be true, might not be. I don't know. Throw your ideas in the comments. Okay, so I'm rigged. This is what I will wear. This is my face now. And then to lock it all down, we throw a strap over top of myself like this. Okay. And now all of my rig is right here, available. Put in my headphones and put in my microphone, and I can hear myself just fine. Now, a couple of things about the Field 1 recorder. The first is you can set a recording level, and in this instance, I want my voice to be somewhere in the between -12 dBs and -6. If it's somewhere between those two things, I'm good. I can hear myself perfectly fine in the headset. There is also a volume option, and so I'm at like 60% volume right now, but I can go, I can go really high if I want to hear my head voice in my, in my ear. Why is this on battery? This should not be on battery right now. Okay, there we go. So just plug it back in to get it to come off of battery. So I have this set at like high plus. It's kind of a strange way to, I don't know, to gauge the input level. But if I'm, I'd rather have more audio than less. So if I say high plus, that's somewhere between -12 and -6 dB. And this says I have 27 hours of recording that I can do. So I could pretty much record the entire time I'm on the show floor nonstop and never have to turn it off. But that works pretty well. If I change the low cut, I can turn it off. That in these earphones it's not going to sound very different. But I like to use the low cut at about 80 hertz or so, and then that works pretty well. There is also a limiter on this unit, which I'm not too sure why. I guess it's to prevent peaking. But if I'm recording at 24-bit, then I probably shouldn't lose anything. So that little microphone here at the tip of my hat is working really well to get the audio that I want. And then my monitoring system really helps. I noticed last year that when I was on the show floor, I really liked the fact that I could hear everything that was going on and what I was saying. It wasn't just dead in one ear, but that I could monitor my audio and make sure that I could hear myself If I can hear myself, that's great. And if it was really noisy, I could put both headphones in and know really exactly what it sounded like. Now this one is just a rubberized earphone or like earbud that I have. It's just an easy, quick in and out, doesn't take much. The other one is a sound isolating one. And so if I really need to know what it sounds like and the whole gambit, I can actually eliminate what's going on in the, I could basically put that one in and plug an ear, and I could hear exactly what it is that I'm recording. So having onboard audio, especially as a run and gun, really helps, but it also guarantees that you're going to get high quality audio when you're on a show floor over the iPhone audio. And I did a comparison last year when I was editing videos. Basically, what does the show floor sound like when I'm talking and my iPhone's there and when I'm recording it through here? And it's night and day. Like my voice is easily 10 decibels hotter than the show floor. And on my phone, it was capturing more of an even sound over everything. And so, heaven forbid, I hand my camera rig to my coworker and he records me and I step back and we showcase like a big booth or something like that. And I only did that on wrap-up days, but I might talk to him and see if he wants to do more of that, wants more hands-on stuff. If he doesn't, it's no problem. But I'm designing this so that I can basically be run and gun on my own. So this has been really good. I mean, I like the way that this feels. I can hear myself clearly. I feel like it's it's not intrusive. Like if people are talking, they're just gonna see my camera and think that I'm just recording on my camera. I'll tell them that I'm rigged with a microphone just so that they know. But other than that, I think that this works really well. The other thing about this little field recorder is there is a hold option, which is what you want when you're in the field. Is you want to be able to turn it on, get your settings how you want them, and then if you're not using it, you switch it to hold, and then it doesn't matter what happens, none of the buttons work. It just basically says hold, and then I need to turn the lock off, and then I can set this up to record. And so here I am recording now, and I'd like to do a little audio check, just transfer this to my computer, I guess, or something like that, just to do a quick little audio check. But I'll probably do that as a final check before I leave, just to see what the 48 kilohertz sounds like at 24-bit. And if I get really loud, what is it going to sound like? And if I have to talk quietly or something like that, how will it pick up my voice? So I really love this little rig. It's super easy. And that basically then turns my entire rig into 2 buttons, 3 technically, to unlock my phone and to open the gimbal. And then I have to hit record here, and then hit record on the phone, and then do like a snap or something into my microphone, so that I get that spike inside the audio channel, so I know where to line it up, and then I go. So setup is pretty fast, works pretty well, and with any luck, this will be a quick way to, I'm going to see everything I want to see at the booth. I'm going to shoot B-roll while I'm at the booth this time. I'm going to do B-roll before I do my recap, and then I'll know what shots I have and what I should be talking through, instead of vice versa, where you try and remember everything you saw and then you shoot B-roll of the things, or you move on, which is what happened last year. There was so much to see. It was my coworker's first NAB, and so I want to get him around to see everything. This year we know what we want to go and see. We've looked at the list multiple times with your help, actually, and we know what we want to see. And so I've got my rig ready to go. Oh, I'm still recording. That's 1.5 minutes. So I'm going to now hit stop. And now you can disconnect this from the battery bank like this. Yoink. Battery still works, right? And so I'm going to unplug my headphones and my microphone. Tuck those in here. Take my USB cable and plug it into my computer. Where is it here? Plug it into my computer. Of course, it's USB-A, so you're going to get it wrong twice, and then it's going to work. All right, and then I'm going to turn this off and back on again, and that should put it into storage mode so I can read the file. And we're going to just have a little test and see what it sounds like. I hope that this USB cable is actually a data cable and not Oh, it is not. Okay. Let's try one more thing. I'm going to put it in this USB port. Put it on the front of my computer. I know that USB port works. So this is a hub, a USB hub. I might be out of USB drivers, to be honest with you, but we shall find out. Nope. Okay, so that is not a data cable, is what that is. So good to know. I will probably then leave. I have another one in here, I believe. Oh, you know what I do have? I have a USB-C card reader. So I can pull the card out of this little unit, which is right here. I'll power this thing off. It just takes a micro SD card, which is so cool how easy that works. This guy is actually not even a huge micro SD card. It's actually an older one. And you got to be careful with older, slower micro SD cards because sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they quit kind of early on. All right, so there we go. And it popped right up. So I will take that little card reader because that's useful. And let's go ahead and pull this open in Zoom. This is the only WAV file that's in here. Oh, so media player, I guess. I hope I don't autoplay. Okay. So I'll jump over to media player and turn on the audio for this machine. Where's the computer audio? It's right here, but it's not playing. Why are you not playing? Maybe we should use VLC, right? Open with VLC. No. I'm really happy that we checked this. I'm sure that the audio is there. I wish there was is there like a visualizer in this thing? There should be. All right, so let's just play this on loop. And let's take a look at my audio settings real quick. Because more than likely, I have changed how VLC works. Oh, you know what it is? VLC is this right here. Here it is.
I really love this little rig. It's super easy. And that basically then turns my entire rig into two buttons. Three, technically. To unlock my phone and open the gimbal. And then I have to hit record here.
Okay.
And then hit record on the phone and then do like a snap or something.
I mean, that sounds pretty good.
Into my microphone so that I get that spike inside the audio channel so I know where to line it up, and then I go. So setup is pretty fast, works pretty well, and with any luck, this will be a quick way to, okay, I'm going to see everything I want to see at the booth. I'm going to shoot B-roll while I'm at the booth this time. I'm going to do B-roll before I do my recap, and then I'll know what shots I have and what I should be talking through, instead of vice versa, where you try and remember everything you saw, and then you shoot B-roll of the things, or you move on, which is what happened last year. There was so much to see. It was my coworker's first NAB, and so I want to get him around to see everything. This year, we know what we want to go and see. We've looked at the list multiple times with your help, actually, and we know what we want to see. And so I've got my rig ready to go. Oh, I'm still turn the lock off, and then I can set this up to record. And so here I am recording now, and I'd like to do a little audio check. Just transfer this.
This is what I want to hear
to my computer, I guess, or something like that. Just to do a quick little audio check. But I'll probably do that as a final check before I leave, just to see what the 48 kilohertz sounds like at 24-bit, and if I get really loud, what is it going to sound like, and if I have to talk quietly or something like that, how will it pick up my voice? So
yeah, that is.
This is like at 24-bit, and if I get really loud, what is it going to sound like, and if I have to talk quietly or something like that,
Yeah,
how will it
I
pick up
mean,
my voice? So,
that's what I wanted to hear, right? That little variance, because that was me lowering my voice down substantially, and that was really good. So, love it. I think that's as far as I need to go with that audio recording piece. Like, that's everything. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way that sounds. I'm definitely going to have to take that little card reader because that was the answer to get it to behave correctly. But close that. And then put my little doorway on here. I do think that sounded pretty good. So let me know what you think. I mean, I'm happy with it. I think that it's going to be... what's going on, Angus? Good morning. Glad you could stop by. Thanks for hanging out. VLC is always the way. That sounds pretty good here. And it sounded good on my phone, which is, what most people watch my videos on, I think. So the question then becomes this little recorder, because it needs to clip. Like, it has these like belt bars, I wonder if I should take this little clip off and just leave the belt loops, because I totally could, and then just fasten it to my belt. I mean, then no one is going to be able to remove it from me, permanently beyond my belt. The catch will be making sure I hit record every time, because I'm going to be listening to myself through my ear. I'm halfway tempted, not really even halfway, I'm mostly tempted to leave it on most of the day. Take some spare batteries, but take a battery bank and leave it on most of the day, because then you don't have to power it on and press the button and yada yada. But if it like sips away at the power all day and it's on, I have the ability to charge batteries. So, what do you do? Or do you clip it on your bag? It's hard to say. Like, what do you do? Because the other question is, your microphone also has to fit, right? So if I clip it on the side of the bag, or even on the inside of the bag, put my microphone here, it like sags. It's a saggy bag. And so I don't necessarily want to do that. But if I put it closer to the strap here at the back, that might be a way to keep it from sagging too much. And it would be closer to my belt. So then I could come around, headphones connected, microphone connected, take my battery bank, wherever it is. Where did you get to? Did I take it out of here? No. It's 1,000 pounds, so it's probably in here. So, there it is. This is like a magician's bag, like Mary Poppins. So we pop that in there, put that guy inside my bag like that, and then power it on, and then switch it to hold. Now, my ear should come online here in just a second when it powers up and is good to go. And then, then there I am. Okay, so now I can hear. It's instantaneous. It's like my head voice. Actually, it's a little clearer than my head voice. It's clearer than my head voice, though, so I can hear everything, and I can just run the whole time. I'm a little concerned that the battery stopped, that the battery bank stopped sending power, but I can check it, I guess, periodically, or maybe I'll just test that today and see if the battery bank stops sending it power every once in a while. It's only taking like 5 volts. So, but the battery bank is also, I've got a USB A to USB C cable, and that is because is it? Oh no, they're both USB Cs on this side. Okay, so this guy can be used to charge the gimbal. And so if the gimbal is running low on power, which it did not last year. Oh, and by the way, the gimbal also has a battery in the handle, which can be used to charge the phone. So if the gimbal gets low for some reason, or maybe it didn't charge overnight, I'm not up a creek, take my battery backups, that big one that I just showed you, the black one, and make sure that this is snapped together here. But then there's a USB port on the side that says in. Yoink. And then I guess I don't need to put it back in the bag while it charges. And then I can put the gimbal in here, the bag in here, take the other side, and grab the battery bank, and plug it in. Boom, like this. And now if you look down, you can see the gimbal charging. It has little indication lights that it is plugged into something and that it's charging up. So the battery on the gimbal has been great. I've had it for a year. I've taken it to Gatlinburg. I've taken it to Shenandoah. I've taken it into the Great Smoky Mountains. I've taken it to various places, and it has performed pretty well as a gimbal. Let me see if I've got any of those videos in here. I thought I did. Not 360. They are... Virginia. Anyway, I should have found those. I was talking about this stuff. I should have looked that up. The other thing that I'm still toying around with is, do I bring my Evo? This is a very old camera. This is the Insta360 Evo, Gen 1 only gen, discontinued long ago, and it has the Insta360 selfie stick, which extends substantially so that you can put it on the show floor or wherever you are. It's almost touching the ceiling here, and take pictures, take videos, do 360 things like that. I'm really tempted, and I'm a couple of problems with this camera, but I'm really tempted to go to booths that I'm interested in and take a 360 picture, just like hold it up, take a picture of the entire booth so that I can share those online and people can kind of look around the booth in a 360-degree view. The thing about this camera is that it is temperamental, and that is part of the reason why they discontinued it, because first of all, it overheats, and it doesn't do a great job at remembering its settings. When you turn it on, it's in camera mode. What you do is you extend your... And that's all I would be doing for this show. The videos used to be pretty good, but the X5, I mean, that will be the next camera that I get for 360. I have a Vive headset here. And so we use it to take videos of vacations, and then the kids can relive their vacations. Anyways, this thing can take photos. And what you do is you set it up how you want it. You press the button, hold it up. Wait for 5 beeps and then a long beep, and then the picture has been taken, and then you can lower it down and turn it off, and that's it. Now, those little beeps are pretty quiet, and so you don't necessarily want to be looking at it in the photo, but yeah, you can quickly take pictures, shut it down, which I do like. I do like how quick it kind of breaks down. You know, it powers up pretty fast, shuts down pretty fast. So do I take it? And if I do, then it's added weight, and if I don't use it, then it's wasted space and weight, right? Now, it's not very heavy. It might be less, like it's probably half a pound, so not a big deal. But, you know, I could tuck it into my bag and carry it. The key is I'm going to be on my feet for 10 to 12 hours a day with this bag and maybe my backpack. Right now, I actually don't have a need for my backpack other than swag, and I suspect my coworker might have a backpack. I don't know. I hate carrying things that people give me, so I try to always have a bag, but it would be helpful to have the Patagonia bag on the show floor. The problem is you got to carry it, you know, and you have to carry it everywhere you go, and you have to remember it, and you have to, you know, there's not very many places to put it down, and yada, yada, yada. So maybe just having a single bag like this one at the show might be worth considering. I want to be quick. I want to be versatile. I don't want to be cumbersome with all the things that I bring. And last year I learned pretty quickly that I don't need half the things that I brought onto the floor. So the other things that I will bring are just some more. I don't need these Ursa circles because I'm not doing anything when it comes to mounting this to my body. So I don't need those. These white strips, don't need those. So that means I could take this little magnetic mount for my microphone, but Don't need those, so don't need to bring that. So the only thing that I really need to bring is this little Rode microphone attachment and the Rode microphones, which can easily go inside of their own little bag, which is right here. So let's test this. I'm listening to my camera mic right now, but if I plug this in and power it on and power this one on, I could attach, oh, whoops. I could attach this guy. Where's the microphone plug here? Here we go. So check, check, check. Yep, it's there. I could take this guy out, this microphone. If something happened to it, if my microphone, if the wire got cut or something like that, I could take the receiver and the transmitter, snap it on. Whoa, snap it on here. Yikes. And then check, check, check. What's going on here? Okay. So this is why we test, everybody, because this cable does not work. So we test. That cable doesn't work. We should throw it away. I do have another one, but I also have a couple of alternatives. The first one, which, did I put it in this bag? I may have put it in the bag. The first one looks like this. It is a flat, here it is. It is a flat auxiliary cable. I have two of them. I have a long one and I have a shorty. This guy, this is perfect for what I need. So we're going to just clip this guy onto my bag maybe. And then plug in this little angled guy here. And plug in the microphone guy here. Ooh, whoa, that's very loud. So we don't need it to be that sensitive. That's for sure. Wowzers, that is very loud. Okay. So if we go like half volume, that sounds pretty good. So now the question is mic placement for this guy, because I don't really want to be holding it. So something like this, that doesn't sound so bad. It's very tinny. It does not feel as high quality as my other microphone, that is for sure. But let's see if I can change the sensitivity. That seems better if I turn it like way down. So that might be a good alternative for like a wireless microphone if somebody is, now the question becomes, like, if somebody is talking like this, is this going to pick it up? I don't think so. Actually, it sounds pretty weak, so I will have to do some sort of playing around with that. I know that they make like a little microphone thing that you can use, but if I have to, I can turn the decibels, I guess, up on this. This is really, and then I'll have to do some audio editing, but I can hear clearly now. The trick will really be the rustling. Maybe I have to put it on the outside like that, and then it's less rustling of the shirt. But this would be a substantial, like a real, backup option. And what I do like about the Rode microphones is they have on-screen battery indicators, meaning that they charge over USB-C, and if you were really in a pinch and my microphone died halfway through or got broken or ripped or whatever, I at least have a way of recording audio other than the cell phone audio. So this is okay. It's not as good. Matter of fact, what I will do, I'll do one better for you. It also looks like it's peaking. Oh yeah, it's peaking out big time here. So maybe not. Maybe I will go down to minimums on this guy, and then I will hit record on this guy. So let's do a little test record. If this were just going to be my rig for like a backup rig, want to be sure that the audio is crystal clear. And now we can do a comparison between the two, because I have the way to read the card right here, and I can transfer that into my computer. While we do this audio test, let's just catch up on the chat here. 360 cameras were really good at being temperamental. The Artemis crew was fighting with GoPro 360 cameras throughout their mission. I do not like GoPro. Man, they needed that to go well, didn't they? GoPro is really trying to figure out what they're going to do next, because they've hit a bit of a problem where, hey, we're not all into extreme sports and recording it and posting it on social media. Most of us live a pretty quiet life sitting in our houses in Tennessee and not going mountain biking, or not going windsurfing, or not going skydiving, or not doing any of those things. And so I don't want to buy a 360 or a GoPro camera anymore because it seems like that's what it's for. I don't do any of those things, so no need, right? So anyway, I see that they are doing interchangeable lenses. Did you see that? All right, so if I hit stop now, and then I switch this back to hold, or actually I can power it off because I want to listen to the audio. Okay, so here we go. Get the little micro SD card out of here. One complaint I have about the F1 is getting the micro SD card out is very difficult. It's the door, that little hatch door for it is not great. It's right in the way. All right, but I understand that why you need it. It does help it protect it from dust and occasional water. But just after using it for so long, kind of, giving up on it. Okay, so there it is. Okay, this card opened. Now let's do a compare and contrast between these two audio files. I'm going to highlight both of them. And we're going to open inside VLC. Open with, where are you? Where are you? Really? I got to do it one at a time? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. All right, open with VLC. Alrighty. And we're going to close that down and try that again, because why would it work the first time? There we go. Open with VLC. Okay, so this is the
lock off, and then
original.
I can set this up to record. And so here I am recording now, and I'd like to do a little audio.
This
check.
is the This is the hat microphone
to my computer, I guess, or something like that, just to do a quick little audio check. But I'll probably do that as a final check before I leave, just to see what the 48 kilohertz sounds like at 24-bit, and if I get really loud, what is it going to sound like?
All right, and now here is the road
on this guy. So let's do a little test record. If this were just going to be my rig for like a backup rig, want to be sure that the audio is crystal clear, and then we can do a comparison between the two, because I have the way to read the card right here, and I can transfer that into my computer. While we do this audio test, let's just catch up on the chat here. 360 cameras were really good at being temperamental. The Artemis crew was fighting with GoPro 360 cameras throughout their mission.
Okay, so as a backup, it's acceptable. I'm listening to it on my phone. As a backup, I think it's acceptable. I would not. I prefer this microphone, the way that it sounds. It actually sounds more forward than this general capsule that's on this guy. But if if something happens to my primary rig, you really don't want to be up a creek without a backup option. And so that is what I'm going to use. I'm going to keep all this stuff together. I'm also going to have a backup aux cable, just in case, right? Because you seriously, one little sidestep or somebody walks past you and the side of their fraying bag, catches your cable, it can end your recording experience. And so the simple thing is, if you're going to buy one aux cable, get two. If you're going to take one microphone, take two. Simple stuff that you don't think about. Oh man, I want to do all this recording, but my microphone cable got cut, and so I'm screwed. So I don't want to fall into that trap. So we put everything inside of a little case like this, and we're going to put it inside my Ziploc bag. Actually, this will go inside this rig right here, down into the depths of that. And then I can reattach my hat mic, my primary. And let's go ahead and power. Oh, I need my card back. Okay, so we'll put the card back in the thing now. The other thing that you always have to consider is, what if your card goes bad? Everything's working except the media, the cold storage. Well, you probably should take a backup SD card as well. And the good news there is I have one that's actually inside the Insta360. So they're both micro SD, so I could just grab that one and forego the, let me make sure the doors are shut here, forego the pictures for the audio. That is an option. So we're going to just switch this to hold, wait for the power to come on. There it is. and then we're going to power cycle back to the battery bank. Boom, there we go. Man, that does sound, you can definitely notice a difference, at least in the headphones, how that sounds. So, and then the rest of these things, watch charger, phone charger. I actually have to take a watch charger now because my Apple Watch is pretty old. So I have to take a watch charger with me onto the floor, because if I want to, look, Mike, what time is it here? It's almost noon. Oh, shoot. I'm going to have to go here in a second. It's almost noon, and my watch is at 62%, and I have not really gone or done anything today. So, yeah, sometimes I got to charge it up at lunch, and so we take a little watch charger as well. Okay, my time is up, and I've got to go. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us today. Always appreciate that. Thanks for testing things and hanging around in the chat. That's always fun. Whoops, that's not the right chat. It's this one. So, always a blast to have you along. I'm really looking forward to NAB. I will be back next week, and we will do what did we see at NAB. We might do a rig recap, what went well, what didn't, and we'll kind of get after it. So looking forward to next week's show because a lot is going to happen between now and then. So if you're not able to go to NAB, watch my channel for video post updates, where I've been, what booths I'm going to. If you want anything, oh, by the way, GoWeb, I did see you. Hey, greetings, GoWeb. Hopefully you and Sanaya are doing well. If you want to see something, shoot me a message, hello@KeystoneAVNetworks.com or Facebook or YouTube or whatever. Shoot me a comment. I'll try and see it before I go, and then I'll make a plan to stop by and check things out. But have a great week, and you have a great day too, I guess. Have a great week. Looking forward to seeing you next week because we'll have a lot to talk about. And the next few shows. Oh, by the way, on May 7th, there is going to be a show about PepLink. I've basically had it for a year now. We built it a year ago. I've had it for a year. And we're going to talk about usability, what I've changed, what I like, what I don't like, and some upgrades that we're going to do. So be sure to bookmark that show. I did put the placeholder for that show up already. So that'll be a fun show in a few weeks, in like three weeks or so. But next week we're going to talk about NAB, and then we're going to do highlights of the show the following week probably. So come hang out. Looking forward to having you along, and looking forward to clean audio and good video. And we'll see you guys in a week. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for hanging out. And hey, we'll see you guys in the next one. Safe travels.